Hey everyone, I want to clear up a misconception prior to Tuesday night's council meeting regarding Coliseum City. The Coliseum City that the media, the white media, likes to talk about. And I'm saying that because now I've been interviewed by 4 blacks in media, and they didn't come to me because I put out a press release to them. They sought me out based on their own study of tweets and search engine results. But the point that I'm making is the Coliseum City project that Floyd Kephart worked on, he being the head of New City Development LLC, was one that was the result of a request for proposal that was let in 2010 and answered, and a developer team was originally picked in 2011. The problem with that version of Coliseum City was that it's too big. And it was born of Oakland District 7 Councilmember Larry Reed's desire to have a kind of what we would locally call Brooklyn Basin housing project using Coliseum land. You see, some people always looked at Coliseum land and thought, hey, that would be great for higher and better use other than just stadiums. I have always disagreed with that. But Larry, a couple of years ago, had some misgivings about dealing with sports organizations and didn't trust that they were really working in the interest of the city of Oakland or the citizens of Oakland. And I think at that point, just thinking back over a period of time that elapsed since Larry expressed those ideas, and now, thinking back, it's become quite clear to me that Larry really wanted something that was more building a city within a city as opposed to building stadiums. And I think it was because of his personal frustration with some of the sports organizations. The problem is that the Coliseum City that was originally 800 acres and then reduced to just over 200 acres was never completely, from a fiscal perspective, thought through. Housing a part of that Coliseum City really made the entire project too complicated. And then the way Floyd and other developers approached it made it even more complicated. They didn't think of it as one unit of mixed-use development. They thought of it in almost a piecemeal fashion. You've got housing over here, stadiums over here, and the crazy quilt fiscal plan that Floyd Kephart's team put together, almost like a Frankenstein's monster version of a stadium financing plan, reflects that. What Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf should have done last fall, really last December, start all over again. Just say, you know what? And she has it in her power to do that. The DNA actually even allows for that. You know what? We've gone as far as we can go with this. It's time to recast it and rethink it and form a task force. And that would have been the mayor's task force, and Libby could have put a stamp on it. Where we are right now is that, look, it was known for some time that Floyd wasn't going to make it past either September 24th or 21st, whatever the 20 date. His plan wasn't going anywhere. That was pretty much common knowledge for some time. What I don't agree with was why he was allowed to hang on for this long a time, and I think it had something to do with Libby putting together her own team. But then again, that was really not the way to go, because Libby was so interested and is so interested in having the credit for herself and saying, I did it as mayor in the way that she's done it, that she won't take good advice. And it's really slowed down the process. Someone asked me, who do you point the finger at? There's a lot of blame to go around. I even point the finger at myself for not establishing my own task force after Mr. Davis, Mark Davis, the Oakland Raiders owner, said, Zenny, come up with this plan. I should have just at least said, you know what? I'm going to assemble my own task force and we'll meet periodically and come up with this. But I did try to get certain people together, but they had their own agendas and it made it tough to do it given the time frame. Then also, Libby could have simply said, hey, you know what? The ENA allows the Raiders to have proposals from other business partners. Zinni, you're a business partner. Come into my office and let's talk. What we have right now is the kind of fiscal solution that Mr. Davis has wanted. For reasons having to do with Libby's desire for credit, I'm just saying this very bluntly, that has been ignored. What I've done has been ignored. There's been talk about my plan without me being there. No one has had a meeting to say, hey, Zinni, let's go over your plan, except two people. Two high-ranking officials. And that meeting went exceptionally well. And that doesn't even include the meetings I had with Piper Jaffray investment bankers, the conference calls. But I digress. The point that I'm making is that we didn't have those kind of interactions. And I know some people hearing this are going to be upset, but we have to get through the truth around this in order to get to a solution that really works. You can't just tell half the story. And there's been a lot of that going on with respect to Coliseum City. But the bottom line is, Fred got a project that was originally developed, created, with the idea that redevelopment law was going to be in existence. And then when Jerry Brown became governor in 2010, he did everything in his power to get rid of redevelopment, and he succeeded. Now, for those of you watching who don't know what redevelopment is, redevelopment law in California allows the use of tax increment financing revenue. What is tax increment financing revenue? It basically works like this. It says that if you have a property, let's say this is a property of land, and this is its base year of assessed value, that by year 5, let's say it's worth $1 here, and then $2, and $3, and then $4, and $5, right? You can take $5 minus 1, that gives you $5 in terms of the tax increment. You multiply that times 1%, and that's your tax increment revenue for year 5. You can do the same thing for year 4, year 3, year 2, year 1, year 6, year 7, year 8. Imagine how much money you would get if it were 40 years. Then start adding zeros behind those numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in terms of value, and so on. And the cumulative result starts to look pretty good in terms of the effective ability to raise money to pay for projects of all kinds, from housing to manufacturing to stadiums. You can even have code enforcement programs. There's a whole litany of things that we've done with redevelopment money from redevelopment law in Oakland's history. Henry Gardner told me that redevelopment money was even used to clear crack houses in East Oakland, I think in 1983. So redevelopment has really been used, skillfully as a tool by Oakland to shape Oakland. But Jerry Brown cut that off, citing administrative abuse. Well, look, there's abuse in everything. That wasn't a good reason to cut it off. But had redevelopment law been in existence, the kind of Coliseum City with housing and property development that was the focus of the RFP that was let and that Floyd Kephart eventually got a hold of, would have been far more doable than it is today. It was never redesigned after redevelopment was killed. That's a huge problem. That was a huge problem. So where we are right now is, well, in a kind of a limbo stage that I think opens up a huge number of possibilities. But Oakland has to work, and if the mayor wants to really reclaim this, she's got to stop the gamespersonship she's been playing regarding it's my staff. Because as a number of high-ranking people have shared with me, and I've said it before and they agree with me, the people that Libby has working with her act like they know what they're doing, which is completely annoying to those of us who really do know what we're doing. The people she's got working with her don't know what they're doing. That's an enormous problem. A huge problem. So once we get that cleared up, we can really sail. We've got to do this as a collective. It can't be mine. as it should be, hey, Zini's got a plan, here's another plan, let's get in the room, put these plans together, and move forward with one plan that works and meets all the objectives we're trying to achieve. We cannot build a $1 billion stadium for Mr. Davis the way he wants, in demolishing the current Coliseum. I've said to him, and he understands, a scenario maintaining the east side would save us a lot of money and yet allow us to give him the kind of new stadium he really wants. He just has to see that, and he hasn't seen it, and he understands that. We haven't given him anything. There's a lot of talk. Very little action. I've got my presentation coming up on the 23rd of September. I'm really excited to go before the small audience and release what I've done. But the bottom line is, beyond me, we, as a city, have to come together to produce a big project that proves this city can indeed build itself into the future.